Hello and welcome back. We are going to build on what we started with, which is our kind of pilot's chair. Could have more detail, etc., but we're just going to keep it nice and simple. So what we want to do is, this is sort of our reference, so we have kind of a pod type design here, kind of like a cockpit. I hope that would open and close, like sort of a window area. So let's go back and try and design that. So let's try and put just a really basic sort of shape to it. So I'm going to add in a cube, scale it down. Okay, I'm doing this kind of by eye. Just going to move it over here. So it's sort of so it's going to come up and curve in that way. So going to face, select face. So we want a bar that goes across here. We want a bar that's going to extrude from there and there. Oops. So this kind of gives us a bit of shape. So extrude this up. And then extrude again, but this one's going to go at an angle, extrude it up, and extrude it back, and it's going to be sort of the rear of it. So now we have, we can know approximately where we're going to meet, so I'm going to extrude down to approximately here, and this is just done by eye, so it's going to be crude. Okay, and this, I'm just going to delete the faces, and then when I select the vertices, I can go W bridge edge loop. Joins them together. I do the same up here. I'm going to delete that face and delete that face. Oops. And then grab those four and those four and go W bridge edge loop. Now, like before, what we're going to do is we're going to add in a mirror modifier, but this time it's on. Oh, what axis are we on? Actually, let's have a think about that. So what we want is it to be the same on either side of the chair. So at the moment the origin is here. We need to move the origin to this point. So I'm going to go Object, Transform, Origin to 3D Cursor, and then when we turn on our X mirror modifier, we get that. Now, let's have a think about this in terms of design. We also want this here to extrude and meet in the middle, so we need to turn on clipping and go GX and then delete the face. We want to do the same up here, so we're going to go E and delete the face, and do the same with this one, and the same with this one here. Now, don't want to do the back ones obviously, because then this won't be able to hinge up, so we want it to hinge around here. So the whole, this is set to rotate around the cursor, so we want it to, roughly, to be able to rotate up like this, so the pilot can kind of get in and out. We could do a more unorthodox version of it where it's sort of split in two or something, but for now this will do. Now this is a bit small as I look at the seat, so let's now that we have it basically made, so we can lift this. We need to extend the front of it. Okay, so it's a bigger area. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a loop cut in here and in here, and that allows me to do something a bit like this, so I can just make sure I've got the right pieces selected, and I do. So I'm going to go GX, move this in a bit, and select all of that, make it a little bit wider, and I'm going to do the same with this corner here. Okay. And we should probably have a connection here. Now we haven't planned for that. Let's just build one at the bottom first of all. So we'll loop cut in here and here. Oops. Let's see if I can bridge edge loop without deleting these faces. I can. And so I want to go from here up. And maybe what we'll do is we'll cheat a bit. We'll put the loop cut in here. And then we want 1, 2, 3, 4. This mightn't look right. If it doesn't, we'll delete it. So bridge edge loop. So how's that looking? That looks okay. And that kind of begs another one to go across the middle here, which would kind of block line of sight. So maybe this is a bad idea, but we'll have a go. So EX and delete face. So let's look here. So I need to deselect. Go. So I can select this. If I go G, I can move it anywhere. If I go GG, I can move it along an axis. But because I've got, so I can move this up to there, and the same with this one, and that one. Oops. So GG. Is it letting me go up? No, so we'll undo the other one and do it by eye. So yeah, that looks okay. Now, so what we're going to do with this is we're going to, as before, we're going to add a subdivision surface modifier, which mucks it all up. So we'll hit smooth. So you can see there's a number of issues with that. When we go into edit mode, you can see that I need to add lots of loop cuts in to get rid of this sort of kind of effect of it being like a kind of, it's almost like it turns it into a sphere. But as how subdivision surfaces work, they're trying to add in extra geometry, make it more curved, and the extent of the curve is determined by how much geometry there is. So if I add in more geometry here, there'll be less of a curve. So we need to do that anywhere we get one of these exaggerated curves. And the more geometry we add in, the better it will look. Okay, so nearly there. A few more loop cuts to add in. Around the front. Yeah. So how does that look? That looks a lot better. So I think the angle to here is a bit off, so we will I'll add that in first of all. And I think I'm going to move this back, so GY. Now, it's possible to do all sorts of things here with this. This is just purely aesthetic design now, so I would like to move that forward a bit. I'm going to this one out, so GX, and maybe even gonna rotate that. Ooh, gonna rotate it around its own oops, origin, so rotate that and then move it up. Now that kind of mucks this one up, so gonna try and see if I can actually, do you know what I might do? I'm just gonna delete that. And then remake this a little bit. So that's a little bit of fine tuning. So we're going to attach these from from underneath. I'm going to attach it from the side here. So let's do that. Those four and those four W bridge edge loop. Okay, so that's infinitely better. Okay. So now we've got a very basic sort of cage. As I look at its profile now, I should probably bring this back in as well. So we should probably kind of hide in behind that. Actually, let's bring it in a bit closer, so G. Okay. Yeah, that's better. So, as we can see, we've got a basic sort of cage. I'm just going to save that file, save as, we'll call this Mech Stage 2. Before I finish up though, I was going to put kind of a back on this. So how do we do that? Well, I haven't added my loop cut in here, but I cheat a little bit, and I'm going to go Shift D, duplicate, and scale that up, and then go P, separate by selection. So now I've got this guy here, and we're going to select him, E, scale him up, SX, okay, and then I'm going to take this back piece here, so this is going to be our, actually get rid of that last one. Kind of the back of our mech. Now, it's going to be a bit crude, but I'll do it anyway. So I'm just going to go E, go straight down to here, extrude again, and I'll take all of these guys and extrude forward. So again, just a small step all the way to the end, and a small step. We'll add in a loop cut into the middle. Oops. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do I have them all? I think I do. And from the top, I'm going to go GX. As far as there. And go GX. Bring that to there. And then the rear of this needs aligning. So GX as far as there. now we've roughly got a back. You know, you can see I need a loop cut there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And go GX. Bring this out. So, you know, it's nearly there. So we need to fill that gap in, but that's easily done. So we have roughly now a very basic sort of frame for our pilot to walk in and out of in our mech. So we'll save this as stage 2 and then move on.